Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, as usual, of course. Great weekend. Happy Labor Day. I hope you enjoyed your Labor Day. For those of you who went ahead and did that necessary protest, great for you. For those of you who are kind of still holding back, get ready to get into the game. We've got to expand. We've got to expand. We've got to expand. And you know what? We're doing it. I had a great time this Saturday at our indivisible Kingwood. What is it called? It was called the Workers Over Billionaires rally. The Workers Over Billionaires protest. It was great. We had over 75 people there. Our leader in this endeavor, Cindy Hendrickson, along with her cohort, Vicky Feedman was out there as well. It was great. Got some great interviews that I posted over at the my Substack. You can pull that article. I'm going to play a couple of them today. Look, I want to go over several subjects. I want to talk about of course, we want to talk about the rally, but we also want to talk about Medicaid is going to come home to roost sooner than many believe. But I also want to spend some time talking about our economic system, capitalism. And bear with me, guys. A lot of Democrats don't like to talk about it because our neoliberal Democrats are sold out as it is. And other progressive Democrats fear it because every time they talk about capitalism, people always talk about, do you want to be Venezuela? It's as if it's either capitalism or Venezuela, Cuba, or any of these other places. It's a false equivalency. It's a lie. And I think because we have been so cowardly in addressing the issue head on, too often we assume our followers, the people who listen to us, the people who we interact with are stupid. They're not. Being ill-informed, being misinformed is not stupid. I mean, there are a lot of things in my life as I was growing up that I was misinformed about. A lot. I had to change a lot of my beliefs because they were based on junk. And as one gets educated and one opens their mind to be educated, that's exactly what happened. One gets educated. And I got to thank my lucky stars of coming over to the United States and going to what then was likely the most progressive school in Texas. That is the University of Texas, Austin, once considered the sexiest university in the country. That opened my eyes to a whole lot. A very progressive university. And we have to remember at the time that I came to Texas, Texas was still a Democratic state. But the interesting thing, it was a Democratic state where Democrats weren't really very, very progressives anyhow. So anyhow, Margaret Ryan from Shadoy, Washington, welcome aboard. Janet Taylor's in the house, as well as Kat. We've got Brittany McCormick, John A. Davis, Leah Garber, Padma Raman, Karen Amos, Arlene Fuchillo, Loretta Viner is in the house. We also have on the other chat, we've got AVQ, Senor Brooklyn, New York, Mr. Rudnin, Michael Rudnin. We also have in the house Patrick Magner from Houston. Meow, Patrick. Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Atascocita. Welcome aboard. And we have Harry Denson from Missouri City, Texas. Welcome aboard. Sandra Dingler, welcome aboard, as well as Kat. So what I want to do, folks, for you just joining in now, is I'm going to start talking about how our event here in Kingwood. And you know what I should do? I should also play a video. Well, yeah, I'll get to that, but let me go ahead and do this real quick. I should actually get to the article that I wrote. I spoke about it this morning, but I know a lot of you aren't necessarily there in the morning program. So what I want to do is I want to as well talk about that. But I've been doing this a long time. I've been protesting and hanging with both rallies and protests for a long time. We've always been trying to make a change, and I can tell you that for those who don't think it worked, we got a lot of stuff done. Even as Occupy Wall Street was not successful in staying power, it actually changed the conversation and it forced a lot of compromises in Congress. Even as a coffee party after several years of Obama pretty much kind of me under the way, it brought a whole lot of us talking to each other together. So let me just kind of read, not all that I did this morning, but read some excerpts from what I wrote that I want to come out and talk somewhat about. Because let me get to that screen real quick. Let's get to that screen. Oh, and as it turns out, great, Egberto. YouTube put the wrong screen under control. So let me fix that on my screen to get the right screens under YouTube control. So I'm going to put this over here, put that over there so that I can still read your comments. Where are the rest of our people's comments? That is over there as well. All right, I think that's good enough for government work. All right, I wrote this article and you guys should look it up. I'm going to put the link to the article in both chats, right? This is the article that I wrote after the rally that we did yesterday. And I'm going to go through it real quickly and then get to the real stuff that I want to talk about. All right, I said we expected over 3,000 people. We had a big function in DC. We paid thousands of dollars to consultants, thousands of dollars to get the West Mall set up with a couple thousand chairs and so forth. We're expecting between 3 to 5,000 people to show up. They were coming from all parts of the country, etc. Our reps, etc. I know I'm going to go to your comments in a minute. Our reps went ahead and paid, try to get media out there for this big event. Well, it turns out that the weekend we chose, a freak storm hit New York. And let me kind of show you what that looks like. And there's a method to the madness while I'm telling you this story. Okay? Some of you may have seen this already, but we are in DC in a snowstorm. Check this out. Let's see if I can get it out. Come on, come on. Let's see if we can do this. Yeah, there we go.
We had hail, we had sleet, wind was blowing umbrellas inside out, people kept on coming, we stood out there in the rain, we froze our tails off.
I could not be more proud of the leaders of Coffee Party, more proud of the members of Coffee Party.
It was an incredible demonstration of not only our determination to fight for change, but believing in each other and our community, that this is something that has to last.
This is what the Coffee Party is about. It's about all of us working together and participating in our democracy, because that's what it's going to take. That's what democracy is. It's about participation.
I don't think I've fallen in love with so many people at once in my life. I went from believing in what we were doing to owning it in every cell of my body.
We eventually moved it inside, we packed the place, It was fantastic. Everybody shared their stories. Everybody shared their solutions and ideas.
We had a good time. We had a good amount of fellowship. And we really came together as citizens, and this is going to be the start of something great.
I know that I saw some kind of tsunami of the heart. I saw all of us gelling together.
It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, Democrat, a far left-winger, a far right-winger, or an independent. You're welcome, and your voices are welcome to be heard.
We can't just sit back and wait for somebody else to fix it. It's up to us.
Let's go out there, change Congress, change America for the whole country, and not just 1%.
All right, why did I show that? Yes, it's 11 years old, and there's a reason that I play this, right? We've been at this stuff for a long time. And you make some of these changes are incremental. After we brought thousands of people to DC, less than that should have come. Of course, we had more people than the Tea Party ever dreamed of happen in a location like that, and we did that through a snowstorm. And we went out there and we did it. Right? It was during we were doing the Obamacare, all that good stuff was going on there, and we wanted to make a stand. We couldn't get media, the mainstream media, that is. The Occupy got 59 days worth of media, but because they could get them to look rowdy and they could promote that kind of a message. That's what they did. So we were able to do all these things. Now, what we have currently that is somewhat different. When we did Coffee Party, we had big events. We had that, and this was one of our culminating events, a big event. And then we'll have coffee shop work, etc. Couldn't get any coverage. Occupy, after it got that big coverage of them kicking people out of Zuccotti Park, kicking people out of Houston's, Park, Pittsburgh, and all these other places, no more coverage. Here we continued something called Occupy Kingwood for 52 consecutive weeks. No coverage. Okay? No coverage. So, what's different now? We were hoping in all these other things that the media coverage, mainstream media coverage, would catapult us into the psyche of the American people. But you know what is better? What is better is what's occurring now. People needed big health care back during Obamacare. And even with Obamacare, they didn't get full satisfaction. They got some, but they didn't get all. They needed big action then. What's occurring now is that this is more organic. And media coverage can't buy it. Because everybody in Kingwood saw the what we did, and they gave the stamp of approval. They did this in over 1,000 cities and towns around the country. Tea Party never did that. So what you have is people changing on the inside. If you take a look at the videos that I played this morning, right? The videos that I played this morning showed people that were otherwise Republicans actually now putting their faces out there and talking about making a change. You don't see it on CNN, you don't see it on MSNBC, but you see it at the rallies. You see the change coming. And one of the reasons, again, that these, even as Rachel Maddow tries to put it out there, they don't get it out there. It's because, again, they know what is coming if and only if we keep up doing what we need to do. The change is coming. I want to play you, before I go to Cindy, I want to play you a piece by a former Dan Crenshaw supporter. And then we'll take it on the other side. Check this out.
What's your name? My name's Cliff Bowden.
Cliff, talk to me.
I attended the Dan Crenshaw rally. I voted for Dan, matter of fact, twice. Dan's a veteran. I am also. I was disappointed with Dan. I was angry with Dan. He never took a question. He waited and rated. He just read the script for about 50 minutes. Wouldn't answer a question. I wanted to know about NATO, what his feeling was about NATO and Ukraine, and should we have more solid backing of NATO. I wanted to know if he really feels that Ukraine started the war, as his president is telling him. Didn't answer any questions, and I'm really disappointed in Dan.
And again, like you mentioned, you voted for him twice. And you went there hoping to get some answers, valid answers, and you never got any.
Wrote Dan several times, got one reply with sort of a standard answer. But as far as the specific questions I asked, he didn't end up saying those questions. He just gave his scripted answer.
Thank you so kindly for being out here. What's your name?
My name's Cliff Bowden.
Okay, so as you can see, this is not the kind of voters that we actually expect to be out there. Okay, this is a old-time Marine kind of a guy, and he's out there, you know. And let me tell you what was ironic about this one. As I'm walking around, I did about 20-something interviews. As I am walking around this event, right? This guy I didn't go looking for him. He actually saw me interviewing somebody and says, I have something to say. I have something to say. At which point I said, if you got something to say, I don't know what he's going to say, but I wanted to hear what it was that he had to say. And it turns out that he did the right thing. All right, before I continue, let me go to Brother Rudnins, who as usual, brought us some information, and then I'm going to get right back to the subject. He remember that AI video where Trump would ethnically cleanse, steal land, and build luxury resorts on top of rubble, covering bodies of dead Palestinians? Yep, that wasn't Trump trolling. He actually wants to do it. Any ideas of voluntary relocation, of paying off Palestinians to give up their homeland? It's all lies to cover up what Trump and Netanyahu are actually doing. Ethnic cleansing, forced displacement, over 200,000 dead, a genocide. Yep, we know that. We knew that. And unfortunately, we are complicit. As we continue to send them bombs, we're complicit. The Independent, Trump's Gaza plan involves voluntary relocation of Palestinians and giving them $5,000 each. Proposal reportedly being considered by the White House would see 6 to 8 dynamic, modern, and AI smart planned cities. That is sick, right? The New Daily leaked plan for Trump administration to make depopulated Gaza a high-tech cash cow. The White House is circulating a plan to transform a substantially depopulated Gaza into U.S. President Donald Trump's version of a high-tech Riviera of the Middle East. Gaza would be brimming with private investment and replete with artificial intelligence. That's going to fit right in with my story. Capitalism, right? Has no heart, has no humanity, right? Lee Grant from Montgomery, welcome aboard. So that is sad. All right, I want to play. Thank you for that, Mr. Rudnin. Let me say there's another video that of another Marine. This guy got blown up in he got blown up in Beirut. He also fought in Vietnam. And it's interesting because this guy as well said, you know what? I tried to talk to Crenshaw. Actually, let me see if I can get that in here. I think I got this video. I want you guys to listen to this one as well, because these are not naturally our voters, but this is what's coming. This is what's coming. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let me get that cleaned up so I know where we're at. Here we go.
What's your name?
John.
Hey, John, are you an ex-Marine?
I was in the Marines for 10 years.
So what's the word again? Hoorah?
Hoorah.
Hoorah. See, I know a little bit of something. Right. But anyway, why are you out here?
I'm out here to protest.
Why are you protesting? What gives you the impetus to come out here? Today's a holiday, man.
Well, it's democracy. And I feel like our leaders are not upholding their constitutional oaths that they took.
Uh-huh.
Crenshaw
right.
took 2 oaths. one for the Navy SEALs or the Navy, the other for Congress. He's a traitor.
He forgot one, didn't he?
He's a traitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that. Now, folks, let me, I not to expose anything, but our brother here is at a protest. He is in a chair, and he's here. There's no reason why all of us who understand what's going on can be here. Give me a closing statement, brother.
I gave my all for my country.
And now it's time for us to serve you, brother.
And, that's why I'm in this chair. I was one of the last Marines out of Vietnam. I was the 4th Marine off the Saigon. And then I got blown up in a barracks in Beirut.
He did that on purpose. You got blown up. So tell me a little bit about that.
No, I got blown up in a barracks in Beirut, Lebanon.
Oh, you were back there during the Reagan time when it
1983.
Oh my God! Wow.
So I've been in that chair ever since.
Well, let me tell you, if you can be out here, there's no reason for others not to be here. Thank you for having served. All right.
All right.
Thank you, brother. What's your name?
Okay, and this guy, another guy that normally goes on the right side. When I'm telling you folks that our things are changing, of course we have to keep the pressure up. There's no doubt. All of this can backslide. They can also work all kinds of tricks to try to get these people back. But this is real. And the change, I am in a very red community, and if I'm telling you, you notice every time you heard me play these videos, you hear a lot of horns hooting, etc. Those are horns of support. The only thing during this entire time you heard was that crazy dude who raced his engine to kind of show disapproval. But we had support like you'd not imagine. And this is a woman who put it all together. A regular businesswoman in town that decided that she's had enough.
Cindy Hendrickson. Cindy is the probably one of the largest organizers around here in Kingwood, Texas. She's with Indivisible Kingwood. I think she's had the most successful, continuous protest in this city. She's been getting kudos all over the county and country for her work. Cindy Hendrickson, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. A little bit sweaty.
That means you're doing something, girl.
Yeah.
But anyway, look, let me tell you, I can't speak about how I feel about the people that, through a lot of the work you and Vicky and others are doing, have activated. Why don't you tell me, how do you feel with what's happening right now?
What do you mean in terms of what's happening?
Well, with the people showing
specific.
up.
Okay.
Yeah, with the people.
About this rally?
Yeah, not only about this rally, but I can't just speak about this rally, Cindy. You've been doing a lot more than this rally.
Yeah, we've been doing quite a bit. Well, what I'm seeing, at least today, is a lot of support from people driving by. And I'm going to segue back to Thursday night when we were at Dan Crenshaw's town hall. So we organized maybe 13 people to show up. We give them red and green cards. So if Dan was saying something they liked, they could hold up a green card. If not, the red card. Well, I gave them out to more than just our people. I gave them out to anyone who wanted a red and green card. Dan started his propaganda for about 45 minutes, and people were irritated. I saw red cards going out that were not my people, and it got pretty rowdy, and I thought it was awesome that they don't feel like they have a comfort zone out here anymore. A lot of people said we're paid protesters, so, here's my shirt. I'm not paid. Nobody's paid in my group. So I appreciate that people stood up and said, no, enough's enough. We don't believe your BS anymore. We want honest answers to serious questions. So that made me feel inspired. And I got more inspired when I saw how many people wrote about our town hall on different media platforms. That was impressive, including the Rolling Stone, which was amazing. And Jim Acosta. So it's like, okay, we're doing good work out here. I call it making good trouble. And, I do it in the spirit of John Lewis, Malcolm X, and Angela Davis. And I say, let's go. I'm tired of this.
Well, I think it's impressive. First of all, talking about the Dan Crenshaw thing, the people weren't paid. And what's interesting enough is they tried to get to me to tell me, hey, this person came and told me you guys were paid. And he's the one who, and I'm like, no, it wasn't. Please show me that person who tells me. But I can tell you for a fact, none of these people in here were paid. And in fact, not even the conservatives in here were paid.
Correct.
And they were pretty much on the side of the folks that were, they were quiet. They weren't, they behaved. So Cindy, where do we go from here? Because I think I'm starting to see not only a change in the area, but I'm changing the amount of people who are willing to say that they've changed.
I don't know what we're going to do next as far as planning something. I still have in the back of my mind having some kind of a community gathering. I don't want to call it a town hall,
right?
But a community gathering where maybe we could address some of those questions that were not answered by Crenshaw at his town hall, and maybe do it at the library. But it floats around in my head, and things change so quickly. It's like, okay, what do we do next? Sometimes we have to change gears depending on what the regime is doing.
Right. Well, I mean, I think so far you've been changing gears very well based on your signage, based on the activities that you're having. Hey, folks, if you take a look, early count today at 9:45 were 60. At least 20, 30 more people came. So today we are really exceeding what Cindy thought she was going to have out here.
Yeah, sure. It's a holiday too, so I didn't really expect us to have a huge crowd. So I'm always pleased if 10 people show up.
Right.
Even if it's one, we're going to be here because it's important. Now what we're watching is whether Trump is going to send in the National Guard / military into Chicago and some of these other cities. I'm very concerned about that because I think that he has a motive. And I think the long-range motive of the Republican Party is to cancel the elections in 2026, and I'm very concerned about that.
Well, I think all of Indivisible, your group here, you are doing the part necessary to prevent that from happening. So as long as we know we have people like this out there, I'm confident we're having an election.
I sure hope so.
Thank you very much, Cindy.
Thanks, Egberto.
Cindy.
All right, folks. So anyway, so that's it. Look, I want to read something from E2247. Let's see, the magnitude of what is happening in Gaza is so huge that it's no longer a quantitative. Oh man, he scrolled on me. It's no longer a quantitative Holocaust, but it's now a qualitative demonism threatening to destroy all moral structures our species instantiated, or exactly. I cannot disagree with that at all, Mr. E2247. Thank you for that. And folks, make sure to read the chat. E2247 has a lot of good lines in there covering the genocide that's occurred. He has kept us honest to make sure that we get some coverage of that genocide every single day. Thank you, E2247. We cannot do this without your participation at all. All right. Look, to win, there's so much occurring right now. We have military in the streets. We have the insurrection that Donald Trump is going to try to call. We have that the people are in the next couple of months, they're going to see their healthcare insurance explode. There are so many things that we are handling all at once, and that is by design. If we split up the opposition to concentrate on so much, then they think they can freeze what you're going to do. That's why we got independent media. Look, we're going to start concentrating on issue by issue by issue. The most important thing right now is to make sure these people don't get reelected, and to make sure there is an election, and to make sure we're not intimidated by anything that they do at all. That's the first thing. The other thing that we have to do, folks, is the following. We have to unabashedly educate, and not only educate, but not allow false equivalencies or be fearful of educating because false equivalencies may be used. And that's where talking about the title of my program today is so important. When I say, come on, be quiet, Egberto, second voice. When I write today, and I said that capitalism is not only, it actually stunts us, it stops us from doing what needs to be done. It stops us, the mathematical formula that governs capitalism ensures that we cannot get stuff done. In other words, uh, do what I try to tell people: do not fear the truth that capitalism limits what we achieve. And I want to play something for you. And I kept on thinking, should I do this? Should I talk about this or not? And then I finally said, you know what? I've been telling people that they need to go up unabashedly with the truth. Yes, this brother on TikTok did it, and he explained it very well. I want to add a few things to what he had to say. So what I'm going to do right now to start is I'm pulling it up as I'm speak. That's why I'm kind of bloviating right now. I'm going to pull it up as we speak. Let's go ahead and put this on air. I want you to listen in detail to this guy, okay? And then we're going to talk about it.
People will say, capitalism is this great driver of innovation and we live in the best possible world. No, this is lies. Look at the world around us. We live in a miserable world, actually. And capitalism, in fact, limits what we can achieve. It limits our capacity for innovation because we only get innovation that is profitable to capital, right? Not innovations that we actually need for improving well-being and ecology. And it limits what we can actually do with our labor. We know what we need to be doing: building the houses, building the renewable energy systems, building the public transit, but we are not permitted to do those things, even though we have the capacity to do it, because we don't have control over our productive capacities. This is crazy. For capital, the purpose of production is not, in fact, to meet human needs or to achieve social progress, much less any ecological goals. That's not the objective. The objective is very singular, which is to maximize and accumulate profit. Now, this leads to, as a result, perverse forms of production, right? So capital makes massive investments in producing things that are profitable to capital, things like SUVs and fast fashion and mansions and private jets and the military industrial complex, right? So we get massive production of those things, and we get chronic shortages of obviously necessary things, right? Like affordable housing and public transit and renewable energy and so on. And so this is actually what explains our current paradox, the double crisis that we face right now in the world, right? Which is an ecological crisis driven by massive production to the point of overshooting 6 planetary boundaries, driving ecological breakdown. But at the same time, we have massive deprivation socially. 2 billion people around the world live in food insecurity. I mean, something as basic as food security cannot be supplied by capitalism for everybody. 5 billion people, lack access to necessary healthcare, right? And this is obviously mostly in the periphery of the world system, but it's true also in the imperial core, in the high-income nations themselves, where I was just looking at data on this recently, actually. 100 million people in the USA and Europe live in food insecurity. I mean, think about this. The richest countries in the world cannot even guarantee something as simple as food security to their citizens. The working classes in these regions are immiserated despite the vast wealth that they produce. People will say...
Now, I want to say something. I love, this guy is 100% on point. But as I listen to this, right, and this is the only critique I'm going to give of this, and then I'm going to move on. This is the only critique I'm going to give on this and move on. This guy, we are trying to talk to everybody, the masses, etc. And the kind of words that we use in his narrative there are things like food insecurity, etc. That sort of stuff is what I have to learn not to do. Because if I'm speaking to somebody in Timbuktu, West Virginia, food insecurity doesn't mean anything. Damn it, I'm hungry. I'm starving. People are starving. They're not food insecure, they're starving. We have to start using the graphic words and not the academic words. When we are in conferences, when I go to a conference at Netroots Nation and we sit down on a panel, it is okay to say, they're food insecure. We actually have to look up the marginal propensity to consume of the person. And because of that, etc. We can use those terminologies when we're sitting down in conferences. But if we want to get to the heart of America, we have to talk to them under the auspices of what they're feeling. And my brother who made this piece, excellent piece, but they're not food insecure, they're starving, they're hungry, they don't have enough food to eat to satisfy them. Those are the things that we need to talk about. All right, so now let's go into capitalism and why it is a clear and present danger. When I remember being on a panel and they had a left-wing progressive, which was myself, they had a regular moderate Democrat, a neoliberal Democrat, a conservative, and a right-wing Tea Party guy. MAGA didn't quite exist then. And we started discussing issues, and they asked, we started talking policies. And when, I don't remember how the arbitrator, the moderator was, etc., but they asked about a particular policy. And the first thing the right winger and the neoliberal talked about was, how will that, doing that policy, affect business? And my head almost exploded. How does it affect business? You mean we only want to give child care if it doesn't materially affect business? Isn't that the wrong way around? Shouldn't we create an economic system that everybody's needs are fulfilled, and then we build businesses that can exist around a model where everybody has the bare necessities to survive? Shouldn't we do that? And these guys couldn't comprehend what that meant. To them, it's either capitalism or Venezuela, capitalism or Cuba, right? Those are false equivalencies, complete false equivalencies, right? So, what is it that that's wrong specifically with capitalism? He stated it perfectly, but again, in a very high-minded manner. We don't do anything. This is all you need to say. Under this current economic system, businesses don't do anything that ultimately doesn't make them a dollar and profits for the shareholders who actually do nothing. And the fallacy or the fraud within the mathematical formula that governs capitalism is as follows. Those people that do little work can continue to earn immensely from no work. I'm going to use Oprah just as an example, not because I have anything against Oprah or anything like that. She's following the system like anybody else. What does Oprah offer to society? Oprah is a great talker. She can reach down into people's lives and make them feel good, etc. That's great. Wonderful. For that, she's probably worth by now $5 billion or so, between $3 and $5 billion. Okay? Now, how was she able to do that? She was able to do that because over a century ago, somebody figured out how to take lens and put it onto something that made a TV. Somebody figured out how to transmit signals over the air. Somebody figured out how to create pictures. Somebody figured out all these things. All these engineers and chemists and scientists created all these tools that allow Oprah to sit in front of a camera and make $5 billion. Because that is what made her $5 billion. None of that money was spread to the millions of people, well, I should say the thousands of people whose past knowledge created all the instruments that actually gave her that. I'm going to pause to answer John, but I need to finish this conversation. Come on in, John.
Yeah, I wanted to say that, what she used is merchandising and uh, she used advertising, and advertising essentially is a manipulation of the psyche of people, and she offers them a lifestyle, that is based on just individual consumption without really, getting into anything, real critique of what's going on in America politically and socially and the ills of this society. So it's an escape for a lot of people. Yeah, that's all.
I agree. I
to...
agree with that. Thank you very much for that, John. I appreciate you. I want to finish the conversation,
Yep.
so hear me out on the other side. Thank you. Uh, John is absolutely correct. She flavors stuff, and that's what she gives people. Now, here is, and by the way, I am not picking on Oprah. This applies to Bill Gates. This applies to everybody else. But I wanted to show that this wasn't some sort of a technical technology envy or anything like that. That's why I used Oprah. Okay. So now, all the people that created what made Oprah able to profit from these things, they get nothing. They got a salary and it's all over. At the same time, though, we have the corporatocracy saying that greed is good, profit is necessary for us to have innovation to create these things. And if we were to get rid of that sort of model that we have right now, that somehow innovation would stop. It's a lie. How do we know it's a lie? Because the people that create TVs and mixers and hot combs and all these things still are creating all these products. The only difference in this system is that the money made on these products are not from the people who create them, but from the people who create instruments to sell them. That's our economic model. And that economic model puts everybody in poverty ultimately. Why? Because if those people, if Oprah's money and all these other wealthy people's money can grow at a much faster rate than the economy and everybody else, eventually everybody turns out working as slaves. Paid slaves, but slaves. Why? Because all you're doing is working to enrich somebody else. So let me give an example of how bad the system is. What the brother said in the TikTok was the following. He said, the problem with capitalism is it only builds things that makes profit on capital, that appreciates capital. Okay? That let's see, Michael, if you want to make the argument that some billionaires are worse than others, since you chose Oprah to discuss instead of much worse, you won't get any arguments from me other than billionaires should not exist. No, billionaires should not exist at all. Period. They haven't earned it. They have not earned it. And by the way, Margaret, I handle the patent system in this book as I see it, how the patent system has really screwed us as well. But here's the thing, right? Now, what the brother said in the video is that capitalism only builds things that, again, appreciate capital at the fastest possible rate for the shareholders. Let's give a good example. We love building bombs, right? And why do we build bombs? We build and create wars. Why do we build that? Because, again, there's one purchaser, the United States, from most of these companies, that's always going to purchase it. So there's an incentive to build it. Now, I want you to, if we have a defense budget of over $1 trillion, imagine if we could cut that in half and give all of that into programs that feed, programs that help, programs that, there's so much more that could be done, but capitalism depends on making that profit. Let's give some other examples. We talk about the fires in California, the floods in the Midwest, right? Wait a minute. Couldn't we, and by the way, we have a lot of people that are unemployed, that are ready to work. We have a large immigrant population that we have screwed south of the border by the economic policies that have screwed their farmers and screwed them all. All these people want to come over to the United States. Wait a minute. We could make the United States a utopia because we have floods in the Midwest. We have a lot of fire in the east. We have desert in the Southwest. Wait a minute. Imagine if we started building transport of water that whenever there's an overabundance of water in one place, it can be sent to another. Whenever there is an overabundance of something in one other place, we could move these things around, right? But there's no profit in that. And there's no profit in that because it's easier to let something burn down and rebuild than it is to create a functioning society where a lot of people don't have to work as hard. After you build these canals, after you build water that can go into the desert, that makes the desert a garden of the world, there is so much that we could be doing if we didn't have capitalism as a stranglehold on what we are able to do. And when I tell people capitalism doesn't take chances, right? Because by design, it is there to do what again? To maximize the profits of the shareholders. And henceforth, they don't create anything. Look, Donald Trump is about to screw capitalism more than anybody else in the last several centuries. How? The government spends all the money on research. The NIH, the NASA, all these guys spent a lot of their money doing initial research. And after it has been proven that the research would be successful, a capitalist company comes in, buy a building or something for the school, takes the patent, and since it's a public, since they buy this public thing for cheap from the universities or the think tank or whatever, they go ahead and they sell us the drugs. They sell us the drugs that was developed by our tax dollar by a whole bunch more. Egberto listening and on chat, please subscribe and support. Thank you very much for that, Margaret. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. And you get free access to my books when you subscribe, become a paid subscriber. Absolutely. Thank you, Margaret. And please encourage others to subscribe. So, folks, when we talk about capitalism holding us back, it's not a fallacy. It's not about capitalism versus communism, or that's not what it is. It's a statement of fact. We need an economic system that actually works for everybody, an economic system that doesn't stop us from building the things that we need to build. I want you guys to think about a recession, right? Think about how recessions occur. I want you to think about this. When a recession occurs, it is because many a times, people don't have buying power. You have to then lay people off. And when you lay people off, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that, okay, the laid off people spend less and it'll keep falling around. By the way, the capitalists love the government then because the government then gives subsidies to people so they can start buying again, right? But here's the thing that when I talk about the flaw of capitalism, whenever we have people that are wanting to work, they want to work. We need to build canals. We need to repair streets. We need to do all these things. And what's the reason why we don't do it? They say because we don't have any money. Really? Really? You have unemployed people. You have roads that need fixing. You need canals that need to be built. You need doctors and healthcare workers to help the sick. But you have people that are laid off or people out of a job. That by design tells you that your economic system is flawed because it cannot connect work to what needs to be done. Workers are there. What needs to be done is here. But the thing that needs to connect them is money. And if your economic system cannot do that, imagine if ants used to have money. They couldn't work their mounds. They work in a collective manner. You have the people going out to get the food, to populate the mound, and then you have the others taking care of collective societies where we are our brothers' keepers or sisters' keepers. It just makes more sense, right? But we are so indoctrinated by the Powell memo. They have so destroyed our minds that we somehow fear that a rich country like ours cannot develop an economic system that it's not capitalism, but it's not Venezuela and it's not Cuba. And by the way, just as a matter of information, we're the ones who keep our boot on the neck of both Venezuela and Cuba. All right, just saying. I mean, they have problems, but one of the reasons they do have problems as well, not the only reason, but one of the reasons they have problems is we keep our boot on their necks. In the case of Cuba, complete an entire blockade, right, of being able to use the dollar, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They can use the dollar, but there are exceptions. Anyway, so I want folks to understand. I think I'm going to write up something about. I've written about this before, but I think another paper is due. But just remember this: the statement that I made in the text, and that is the truth. The truth is capitalism limits what we can achieve, because the only thing we can achieve is that which will make profit for the capitalists. Remember that. We cannot do anything that is good for humanity if that good for humanity is not able to maximize the profit of the wealthy. Please keep that in your head. And the next time they tell you, well, what do you want? Cuba, what do you want? Venezuela? Tell them no. You just want an economic system that works. And you also make it understood that nobody has earned $1 billion. Nobody has earned $500 million. Everything that all these wealthy people have made was done on your backs. It's the excess labor that you were not paid for. And it is hard for us to accept that we have been lied to since our inception about this economic system. How the hell do you think the founding fathers built our system? David Cobb, I was in an organization called Move to Amend. Look up Move to Amend. They're still in existence. They're not as radical as we used to be then. But I remember we'll sit down in these homes in California or DC or Minnesota. We met twice a year. We rent a big, humongous house, and there are 20 of us in there going through policy and trying to come up with ideas for Congress to do. That's how things work in this country. You get lobbyists, you get policy, people write policy papers, etc. You get to find Congress people to support it and get them to turn it into a bill. And that's the kind of stuff we did, right? So we would meet twice a year, and we'll come up with some policy ideas. Our main policy was corporations are not people, and money is not speech. And we had the 28th Amendment that we were trying to get through, and we had a whole lot of sponsors to do that. But I remember sitting down and we're having coffee. I'll be drinking a lot of coffee. David Cobb a beer, and David Cobb looked at me one time and he said, "Egberto, if you take a look at the Constitution, what you really realize is that it is a capital document. It is a capital document. It's not a human rights document. I mean, even if we take a look at slavery and everything else, it's a capital document." And he was absolutely right. The founding fathers were rich, wealthy guys who wanted to maintain their wealth, their farms, their whatever it was that they did, they wanted to maintain their wealth. And the way everything was written was to ensure that they maintained their wealth. Things like only men with land could vote and women couldn't vote at all, and guys like me were 3/5 of a person. All of that was in the Constitution, right? So the design was never for real equity. Some of the words, "we the people of the United States, in order to form a perfect union," in the Declaration of Independence, we have to acknowledge that this blind belief that we were ordained to be a capitalist country where business is everything and everything else is wrong. I mean, we got to get away from that. The only way we survive as a country, the only way we survive as a country is if we change our economic system. Because the economic system is now on fumes. We have already taken away a lot from ourselves, a lot from many of the countries around the world that's waking up. If you take a look at what's being formed around the world, and I'm not trying to be a part of these guys or support these guys or anything, but when you see China, Russia, Brazil, and some other countries that make up the vast majority of the population and the world's GDP, I think the writing is on the wall. And it is in our interest as Americans to really start preparing for what our economic system needs to look like going forward. And it's not capitalism. It's free enterprise with a very, very strong social safety net. That is the only way we survive as a country, because that is how you get the 342 million Americans here to all work collectively, to work together to make sure that we survive as a strong country. But again, nobody said that capitalists were smart, because they're not. Having $1 billion doesn't mean you're smart. Having $1 billion just mean you know how to play the capitalism game. Engineers generally don't care about that. Lawyers generally don't care about that. All of these issues are things that we have to work on. Now, anyway, anybody want to challenge, talk about it, etc.? Please remember, you can reach me at info@politicsdoneright.com, info@politicsdoneright.com. Okay, folks, we're coming close to the end of the program. I want to thank you all for being here. Want to thank you all for listening. I want to ask you so kindly, those of you who have the wherewithal to do so, please go ahead and support our program. Please support our program by becoming a paid subscriber of our newsletter. You get to read all my books online at Substack. I will have other perks for you. I do that all of the times. So I'm asking you kindly to please think about the amount of work that we do to make sure, and not bring you just a program, but we're out there in the field as well. We're out there taking the pulse of the country. We're out there doing what needs to get done. Please visit politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter to subscribe and become a paid subscriber. I just put that in both chats. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. We simply cannot do it without you. I got to get out of here because I got to go. Today I had to take Ashley's car to the shop, and I've got to go pick Ashley up from the school. So I got to leave like right away before she calls and say, "Daddy, where the hell are you?" Anyway, folks, again, please support the program best you can. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.